This is the Disruptive Hope Podcast. Hope sees, hope engages, hope belongs, hope builds. Hope disrupts the narrative of despair, and in the tension of holding both sorrow and joy, we invite hope to redefine the lens through which we see and interact with the world. Embrace the challenge and become an agent of hope in unlikely places. Welcome to the Disruptive Hope Podcast. Dawn, we're so excited you're here with us today. You are one of both of our good friends, and a long-standing partner. In a lot of ways, we kind of grew up in this fight together. But I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and your connection to the anti-trafficking space.
I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about this. I kind of grew up around women that were trafficked from a very young age because my dad started an organization that we partner with, and he thought it was a good idea to have his whole family involved from a very young age. So my siblings and I, we were in the red light districts, walking with my dad during outreach times. And it was kind of I'm very grateful for that experience because I learned a lot growing up. Mm-hmm. I've been in this anti-human trafficking space.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For a long time.
For a long time. 17 years now.
Crazy.
God has shown me a whole lot of things that has given me personally life through this space and changed my life in many ways. But I work mainly in Asia and with women and children. And I started off with just volunteering, going on outreaches with my dad and the team members, and then went on to admin, and after admin, I was his assistant for 2 years, and then got married and moved to the United States with my husband. He's from Texas, and he and I decided that we wanted to do something for the organization, and God was calling us to this, and so we had an opening to share what God's been doing in Asia and around the world, in what he's been doing as rescuing and, just changing lives in Asia. And so we decided to step in and say yes to it. Awesome. And ever since then, it's been 8 years now here. So
that's awesome. The most humble introduction to one of the fiercest women I know. I love when people meet you for the first time because you're not very tall. You're what, 5'1"?
5'2".
5'2", my bad. Give her that inch. My bad. You're 5'2", and you're so warm and kind.
Oh,
you're so warm and kind. You're in some ways very you're just so humble, and you're in some ways maybe unassuming. And then, man, you can change. You change the world. Put her in a different setting. Put a vulnerable girl in a rough situation, and just watch Dawn sort it out.
Okay. For the record, I have to go into a bad neighborhood. You two are the ones I'm taking, so that's where this conversation is at.
We love it. I love that you're so humble. And I do think that aids you so well in this work. I do think that is something that people that are really successful in this work all carry, probably from wounding, if we're just honest. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So there's probably wounding of it. But you really are one of the most incredible people probably on this planet. So you grew up in this space, and we've now transitioned in your next gen leadership. Right? You're in leadership places. You're making calls, making moves. What has that transition been like for you?
I would say it's been rewarding and difficult. And I think that I'd enjoyed for a long time being under leadership and just saying, okay, this is what they're doing. I'm following, making it happen. But stepping into that leadership position definitely puts a whole lot of responsibility and a lot of prayer time and spending time with the Lord for sure. And I feel like every day has been a step of faith for me, and just trusting the Lord that He's led our leaders before us and still do, that He's going to lead us the same way. But I definitely see that I'm very grateful for the people that are responding really well to the leadership. I'm very grateful that they're accepting of it and cheering us on as well. And so when we go to like the centers and like the homes, and it's always more of, I forget that I'm supposed to be, in this position that takes charge and leads something, and ends up like sitting with the girls and just enjoying our time together as family. So I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds, awesome. Leading as well as being able to get down and have that family relationship with the girls. So I get to know one-on-one like what we need and what we need to move forward. So I think that it's been a great experience stepping into that leadership position, especially because God just put everything together. Like it all fell in place whenever we were asked to, lead. So
I love that. I think that that family model obviously was something stepped into very young, right? You mentioned being in the red light district when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
Growing up with all of this around you, in and out of the programs. Now you have 2 daughters, and I know that they're with you, doing all the things. How has having kids, your own kids, kind of, has it changed your perspective? Have there been shifts in you think, in this process?
Yes. I'd like to share a story with that question. So in 2019, we had, Anson and I, we didn't have kids at that time, and my dad took us to one of the darkest places on planet Earth, into this village that were trafficking their own children. And so there were girls as young as 7 or 8 years old that had come that same morning. They had come to one of the schools that we run for Christmas programs. So they were dancing on stage, they were happy, rejoicing, and we're like, wow, this is great. That evening, we went to this village, and those very same girls were standing outside of their homes in this village. And so for safety, we had staff members and a big team that walked in with us, and my dad was leading this team, and I was like, oh, she's still wearing the dress that she wore this morning, and she's standing there, like, can I go say hi? And one of our staff members said, no, you're not allowed to. You could say hi from here. You're not allowed to go talk to her. And I'm like, okay, keep walking forward, and all of a sudden there was chaos in the back. And Anson and I, we're like, okay, what's going on? There's a whole lot of chaos in the back. We want to turn and look what's going on. And the staff member is like, no, don't do that. Just keep walking. And, the little girls were running into their homes, and, the women start to, cover their face and walk into their houses. And I am looking.
Yeah. There's a commotion. We're gonna check it out.
Yeah. And so I'm
impressed you listened this long into the story. Like, wow, they stopped you. Okay.
I was like, I think she's making up part of this story.
She may have been, but it sounds
she's been listening this whole time.
Maybe 2 minutes in, yes, I turned. And of course, Anson's holding my hand. It's like, okay, if you're turning, I'm turning, and obviously the guy's super mad at us that we turn, and we see this little vehicle that comes in, and there were 4 men that come out of the vehicle, and they go into one house, they come out, they go into one other house, they come out, and all of a sudden, I feel this rage. I feel like I'm gonna say something, and I'm like, it's creating commotion, what's going on? And the staff member looks, and he's like, just keep walking. And I said, I'm not gonna move until you tell me what's going on. And he says that they are looking for the youngest child. And at that time, I did not have kids. I didn't have daughters. And all I wanted to do is go and rip their faces off.
Yeah.
Just knowing that these guys had come from the city, and they were looking for the youngest child, a daughter, that night. And there were parents there that were opening their homes to these men to come and look. And of course, I called it the darkest place on planet Earth was because of this reason. I had never seen that before, where it was their own homes. I never seen people welcome somebody to come rape their child, their daughter. I can't sleep at night knowing that, having two daughters, 4 and 2 years old, that one day they would be 8 years old, and God is gracious enough that that's not my daughters. But what about those that are trapped?
Yeah.
And so that changed my life after having two daughters. I was always passionate about this, but there's a different level of passion now, because it could have been my kids. It could have been my daughters. And how can I stay without doing something that there are girls as young as 7 years old getting raped tonight? And their parents know it, their brothers know it, their family members know it, and they still have no help.
Yeah.
And so it was the most horrifying reality that I had to face in 2019.
Yeah. You know, that brings so many questions. I'm sure to us in this room, but also us in this room have context for it as well. So I'm sure people listening to it have 1,000 more questions than we have. But working in that environment for so long, seeing such devastating things, really is so hard. And letting it be personal like that, like being willing to see in your little kids' faces the faces of little girls that are having that happen to them. Really, people don't want to do that, you know? It's not fun. And it costs you personally something. And you've been able to do it for so long. And I'm just curious if you have any insight with yourself, kind of how you've been able to have stamina, even in processing something like that, right? Like that was one moment that was like life altering. And we sit here knowing that you've had 1,000 moments like that because those are the moments in these spaces.
Yeah.
So like, how do you keep saying yes?
Yeah. Well, I did not grow up thinking this would be my life, but I knew it was part of my life. But I knew that time and time again that God was calling me to this, and this was going to be what I would do. And so I had to make a very hard prayer, and it was, God, break my heart for what breaks yours. And to see, I knew how my dad looked at the girls, like his own daughters. And obviously we grew up as a family with the girls and everybody around us in the organization. But I knew that God would change my own heart at one point. And so that happened. It was a very hard prayer because God broke me to a place where he showed me what really broke his heart. And so I think that he also gave me the grace to handle that every time I walk into the red light district or I walk into this village, that I need to step back at night and know that he's going to take care of it. But every life mattered. So if he gave me a chance to go rescue one girl tonight, that would be my mission. And so time and time again, I had to learn how that it was God's fight more than mine. But I had to keep praying, Lord, break my heart for what breaks yours, and show me in which direction I need to use that, instead of going, I could lose sight of what God wants me to do and definitely go be like, let's let's rip those people's faces off, you know. But in a way, God also showed me that he also died on the cross, that Jesus died on the cross for those men as much as he did for the women. And so I started to change my prayer to where I was praying for the men. I was praying that God raise godly men in this region, you know, and raise godly men that would make a change. And so it was hard, but I think it's an everyday prayer for me, honestly. And when the time comes closer to traveling back or flying to Asia, it gets harder and harder, because I know I'm going to step into a place where there are going to be attacks, there are going to be thoughts that come to mind. I want to hold my kids closer than ever before, because I'm afraid that something's going to happen to them. But most of the time, and I've taken my 2 kids with me on outreaches, and it's crazy how God works in ways. But my 4-year-old already has questions like, you know, why can't they just walk out? Why is this friend missing today? She was here yesterday. Why is she missing today? And she's slowly understanding that God's bigger than everything, and we trust him to do the work more than we trust ourselves to do the work. So stamina, I think it's God's grace.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, I would give up tomorrow, because it's so hard.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's God's grace. Every morning, wake up and know that, okay, he's got this. He's more eager to do it than I am.
Yeah. I love that because, sorry, did I cut you off? No. I love that because you said one thing that your daughter said. You used a specific word. And I don't know if you used it on this podcast so far, but you used it earlier as well. We were talking about something else. Your daughter asked you, where's that one friend?
Yeah.
And I really do think that that is like such a big difference that I see in people who can have stamina in this space and people who maybe can do it for a few years and dip out, which is, I mean, there's grace and space for that, right? Not everybody is called to do this forever, for sure. It's really hard. But these women are your friends.
Yeah.
And you're raising your daughters to see everybody as a friend.
Yeah.
Like, you're letting it be personal. And I think so many people can understand the stamina of laying down your life for a friend.
Yeah.
It's getting in close enough proximity to let that person be a friend.
Yeah.
It's funny that you did that segue, because so much of my story, and I would assume, and I would ask if it's part of your story, is right, there isn't one great moment where you learned about this and then went to address it. Like, for me, I discovered it as I walked in relationship with people and as they shared their stories, as they shared life. And it was like, oh my gosh, what happened to you? What happened to your mom? What happened to your sister?
Yeah.
And then to begin to realize that en masse is going on. Is there one defining moment in your life where it's like you learned what trafficking was and what all of these things were? Or for you, was it more of a gradual, how did you come to know about it?
I think probably when I was 12 years old was when I first understood there's something bad happening behind those doors. And my dad would, obviously there would be staff members. He's not that bad. There would be staff members standing outside with us. But I was always curious, what is happening behind those doors? Because we would stand outside the brothels, but never enter the brothels at that age. So I think it was when I was 14, we would do these little Christmas parties in the red light districts. And during one of the Christmas parties, we did like this performance and told them what is Christmas about? Was Jesus, was born on this day. And so there were like probably thousands of people, brothel owners, women who were trafficked in there, pimps, all of them. And there was a little stage that was propped up, so we would dance on that, say, probably for safety so that people were not touching us. But they would be all around the stage, and we would be up there, and I would always be like, okay, you know, they're out of their rooms. You know, they look like normal people. You know what, this is how it is. And we walked down, everything was done, the Christmas program was done. We walked down and we're standing. My dad tells me it was me and probably 10 girls with me. It was probably like 11:30 p.m. or 12 o'clock. It was pretty late. And my dad told me, stand right here with all the girls, wait right here, let me go get the van and come here. And it was probably less than a mile away. And right before he could come and get us, there was this pimp that came and said, he came to me and he said, what's your rate? And I didn't understand. I was like, sorry? And to me, I'm like showing, you know, I'm here to show you what Jesus is, who Jesus is. He was born today. I'm talking about Christmas. So I'm trying to be kind to everybody. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, excuse me, sorry? And he said, what's your rate? And that's the second time when he said it. It was almost put my hands out, step back. Where are the girls? Are they all there? You know, like that was my first thought. But that was when I understood, okay, this is what's happening. My dad could have not gotten there faster. Like, he drove in. He almost knocked the guy off because he could already see the guy communicating with me. And my dad looked at me and he said, what did he say? I said, oh, nothing. It's fine. It's okay. And my dad said, and I don't remember the story very well. I only remember that part. But my dad said that he asked me, you know, what did he say? And I said, well, he was asking me, you know, what's my rate? And Dad, like, you could see him tear up. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. And my dad said, that's all I said. It's okay. But I remember thinking that, you know, of course it's fine, you know, because I'm going to walk into a van that's going to take me to a safe house or to my house and the girls to a safe house. But this man will be asking somebody else what's her rate, and that's not it for her.
Yeah.
And so,
it's a sobering moment. It's also amazing the role of the father in that, you know, that over and over again you talk about your dad showing up and he couldn't get there fast enough. And I think it's just been really beautiful to get to walk even with my dad on this journey and to see that heart of a father come out that protects and that loves. And as we walk in those places with our dads, I think sometimes it challenges my response too of the Lord feels that way about every girl in captivity, right? And that he is actively seeking them out. And so it definitely activates something within you of how do we stand in the gap and how do we keep that from being those girls' reality? Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it's a scary, scary reality.
Wow. This won't turn into a podcast about our dads, so we could honestly do that. We won't do that.
Sure. We got good ones.
But I do think a cool thing about your dad and our dad, because Chrissy and I are sisters, for people who don't know, but I feel like you can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people don't know.
Speaking right now, I don't know.
We mix people up sometimes. Both of them have, like, I mean, maybe they were afraid and they just didn't show it. But so much courage was even put in us to step into hard things, to do hard things. And to step into those spaces where women and children weren't being protected. Not only did they do that, but they invited us in, and then they really equipped the like, oh no, you can do this. And they equipped like, no, it's not okay for any man to behave this way. And like, stand up. Like, like you can do it. Stand up to them. Your dad, I remember one time I was at our flat and your dad was there. And I hadn't been in the religious church. I had been doing something else. But we encountered a festival of sorts. And there was like some worship happening there. and I got doused in some stuff that they were using, which is always a fun time.
I feel like curious minds want to know. Can she leave it with stuff they were using?
Like stuff that they were using in part of their worship, like
water.
Like water. I don't know if it was water, oil, water, stuff like that. Stuff that they
Nothing
were
too
using
weird
for their gods or whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, they come back and like it had disheveled me. Like they doused me in it. They got me good. So it was kind of on me, and your dad and my dad were hanging out. And I walked in and they were like, how many you? You could kind of see it. And so then they were both like, okay, like go clean up. We want to pray for you. But your dad like so clearly was like, I'm going to pray for you right now, but I just like want to remind you, we're supposed to step into dark places. Like it's okay that this happened. Like you got some of this on you. It's okay. You're supposed to step into dark places. So we're not even going to be afraid of it. We're just going to keep it going.
Yeah.
And like just that perspective in all things.
Yeah.
Do you feel like I feel like this is kind of maybe a hard question for you to answer because you grew up in that space, right?
Yeah.
Having your daughters in that space now, you did say that there is some fear in it.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you fight through that?
Yeah. Well, I have nightmares sometimes that somebody's taking one of my kids. Like we're in a crowd. It happens all the time to me, but usually when I am overseas, that we're in a crowd and somebody's just taking away one of my kids or both my kids, and I'm looking for them in the crowd. This is like a dream that comes back to me all the time. And instantly I wake up and I pray over them. And I'm like, Lord, cover them, with your blood, and you're protecting them. You're keeping them with me at all times. But definitely, whenever we do travel, I'm always telling them what's okay, what's not okay. So when we go to the church, where a lot of the women come from the red light district, a lot of the pimps come from the red light district, I don't let them step away from my side. Also, I tell them absolutely no one is allowed to even touch you. Nobody's allowed to take you to a certain place or even tell you that your mom told me to come get you for something. So they know that obviously my 2-year-old is too young and she's so clingy, so she's fine. But my 4-year-old definitely, we always tell her, and my husband is like he's like a drone, he's always on them and taking care of them. But I'm more of the mom that says, let them loose a little bit. And he's like, no.
See, he didn't grow up in these spaces.
Yeah, he did not.
He maybe is not as comfortable in those situations,
He's not.
It's a little scary.
But it also helps that both my siblings are there. And whenever we do things, we're doing it together. And they are also watching my kids. And so sometimes, in this past time that I was overseas, this one incident happened that kind of I was like, oh, okay, shake it off. One of the ladies came, and for some reason my 2-year-old was very friendly at that time, not anymore as much, but she was like, oh, come. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, oh, she's not going to go. And she just opened her arms out and she went. And I had never seen that woman before. And I was just like, okay, deep breaths. It's rude to just take your child back. And my husband's like, just take her back. And I'm like watching her the whole time, okay. And as soon as she's walking towards the doors that lead outside, I'm like, all right, I'm done. And so I go there and like, I need to feed her and take her back and go. But that was one of the times where I was like, okay, close. No, but it could be nothing. It was probably nothing. But to me, it was a little scary to watch that happen. But we were both watching her. So
there's, even as you tell the story and we go through this podcast. I can't help but think I had a friend one time who met your family, met your dad, and knows you as well. I'll tell you her name later. We were hanging out. We were talking about the programs. Mm-hmm. And, all of us are, very familiar with this space. So we're just talking. Mm-hmm. And, like, saying crazy experiences that we're having like that.
Yeah.
And you're laughing through it. You're literally like, that was insane. Yeah. And then we laugh, and all of us laugh. Yeah. And people are like, are they okay? Yeah. It's like, I actually don't know. Yeah. So do we think that's a trauma response? What do we think that is?
Okay, so I have to point out, because one of the things that stood out to me in every single one of her stories, she talks about community, right? So whether it's the 10 women or the girls that her dad left her with, or standing outside the brothels, that community, you talk about your siblings. I think that there is something so profound about walking in hard places with community, and that's part of what empowers you to laugh at it. It may also be a trauma response.
Yeah. We're all laughing together.
Some of that in it, but it's also knowing you're not in it alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just one or two of you. Like we're talking about a large community that's standing together saying, hey, freedom is possible. Yeah. And freedom is going to come, and we're going to contend together, and we're going to laugh together, and we're going to cry together. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to stand here until we begin to see change, because we've all seen such incredible change that we're just in it. How do you cultivate that type of community?
Oh, man, that's a hard question.
Did I just get the award for the hardest question?
That is a hard question.
You have to think of one to top it after this, Hannah.
I think I'm going to let you have the hard question of the podcast.
Wow. I think God built that community. I think if I look at, okay, who is around me, who is with me in this, and who's my long-term family or friends, obviously you guys are a huge part of it. So I guess I can laugh about this, and you know what it means. Mm-hmm. But most of the time I do get, like, I am very cautious about who I'm talking to and where I'm laughing, because a lot of people don't understand that. And one time it happened to my dad, where he was laughing about something, and somebody asked me the same question, like, is it a culture thing? Like, what is going on? And I just never knew how to explain it to them, because I'm like, I just don't know. But in my head, I kind of see it like God's probably laughing at it too. Like, oh, you were worried about that. Like, look at me, how big of a God I am, and you were worried about that. I guess, like, it's probably just what God would laugh at. Like, okay, you were laughing at such a small thing. Well, I could take care of so many of you at the same time. So, I don't know. But community, for sure, I think it slowly builds around you. And I've seen, like, when that community is built around us, a lot of the pillars that were once there keeps falling off. And for the longest time, I was upset about that. But God showed me that, no, that was for a season. And then I take it apart so that I could build more, and I could build up more pillars around you to be your community. And so I think community for me was like, for one season there was really great people around me, and then there was a season where God was like, I just want you to rely on me, and then put me back with a community. And so I think COVID was one of the times where I felt really, really alone. Also because I was way out down south, and it was obviously we didn't really have community there, but that was one of the times I felt really alone. And we were still working. You guys know that we were still working, but I felt like we were alone, and
there was so different.
Yeah. And there was nobody to come and say, hey, this was a tough story, or this was hard. I need advice. I need somebody to be a sounding board. I need somebody to talk to about it. And honestly, like, before, like, during COVID too, like, Zoom was there, but it was not really a thing until, like, towards the end of the year. But it's different when it's face to face, and when you're all together and you talk about it, and You just see. I love talking to you guys, because it's like when you share, you actually see the first response that you have on your face, and I'm like, all right, I was being silly. It's not that bad. So, I love the fact that that now, since COVID's done and we're all together, and we could do this and we could talk, and I remind myself never to take that for granted, because I could, see your smirks or your laugh, or like, oh, that's crazy kind of. So, yeah, but I am very much for community. I love the fact that, especially in the space that we work, definitely need people around us. And I think I learned it the hard way.
Well, I love too in this community that there's place, and you have intentionally made so much place for survivors to lead out in that community and to be on the front lines of bringing hope and extending hope. That's such a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. How do survivors, in your opinion, become advocates of community in this space?
Well, one of the girls that was with us for a little bit right now, and she just went back to Asia, but she's one of my favorites to talk about when, this comes up. And time and time again, like, I've seen her life through and through. She grew up in the ministry, in the organization, in the homes, and was focused on her education, very focused, her and her siblings, and graduated and moved into their own house. And she decided, well, now let me tell you, she worked for one of the most well-known news channels in Asia, and she was doing so well with her job and back into society. And she, like, all of a sudden she chose, hey, I feel like God's calling me to this. This is what God's calling me to do. He wants me to share my story. And she prayed about it, and didn't tell us until we asked her, because God had put that in our heart too. And we asked her and said, hey, we know you have a great job. We know that everything's going really great for you. I know this is probably a bad time, but are you willing to do this? Are you willing to travel and share your story? And she was like, oh my goodness, yes. It's like, I'm quitting, within 15 days, and God had put that in my heart too, and I want to do this. And I have been traveling with her around, her sharing her story and us speaking for probably the last 10, 15 years. And every single time she gets up on stage or wherever, even if it's one person, she will share with the same passion and intensity. Like, God uses her in such a mighty way that people across cannot stand there and be transformed. And I've seen that more than us traveling and sharing her story, to help women, be free in Asia or around the world, it has impacted more people here hearing her story and how the Lord has transformed her life. And so I feel like a lot of our girls, a lot of our women that have seen her life, that is impacting someone else's life. So same way our outreach teams, they are basically ex-brothel owners and ex-trafficked women. And so they go back into the red light districts 5 times a week, and they share their stories. Like, this is who I am today. And it is unbelievable to the women that are still in the brothels that I know you. You were actually here in the brothel. Mm-hmm. Who are you? Like, there is a night and day difference in their lives. And so seeing that, the women in the brothels, like, I want that for me. I want to be the person you are today. And so that gives us a way of like, okay, let's see what our next steps are to come out of the brothels. And so even with the case of the girl that travels with us, a lot of the girls see that and say, I want God to use me the same way. I'm not ashamed about my story. I'm not ashamed of what God has done in my life. I want to take that to the ends of the world to glorify his name. And so I love that part, and I love being part of it, because it's like you get to watch firsthand them grow up, and take their leadership, their space and their leadership, and then walk with it, and then share that with others and raise them up as well. So
cool.
Yeah,
So
it's awesome.
Cool. Okay, so you've talked a lot about going back and forth. So you've seen a lot of trafficking in both Asia and the U.S. You've been down to Latin America with us. Mm-hmm. What are some of the differences and similarities in trafficking that you've seen as an expert in this space?
I would say it's the hurt. The crazy part was like being in Asia around the women and going to Latin America, being around the girls and the women, it felt the same. So it felt the same brokenness, felt the same hurt, felt the same hopelessness. And so I think that in a way that there's so much darkness, but the darkness is the same. But the exciting part is, so is Jesus. And so the light's going to be the same. So it's just a matter of time in their journey of healing where they are going to find Jesus. They are going to find that hope, and it's going to be their restoration. So even though it's hard, but this trafficking is same everywhere. The hurt is the same, whether it's family that's trafficked them, or whether it's friends or somebody they trusted. And I would say that's one thing that's very common, is they were trafficked by somebody who they trusted most of the time. And so healing from that itself and starting to trust somebody else who is trying to do good like us, it's hard for them. And so I learned one thing, God showed me this, that to give them time, to let them trust us, because everybody they've trusted before has either hurt them or broken them. So that's one thing that's very similar, is just giving time to the girls to have them start their journey of healing, which is really hard. Yeah.
It's a long road.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very long road. Beautiful, but so hard.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's awesome. Well, maybe talking to people that aren't in this space all the time. Mm-hmm. There is so much like chatter about trafficking now that is like kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Chrissy and I talk about that a lot, of like trying to address misinformation and stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe what do you see as an expert in this field? What is it that you like? Is there anything you wish that people understood about trafficking?
I think I've said this before in one of the questions, but it was that nobody really chooses it. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people misunderstand, is they chose that life.
Yeah.
Nobody really chooses that life. And it is a bondage. Mm-hmm. And once they are trafficked, and you guys know, like, you've interviewed a lot of women that are now on the other side and healed, and share their stories, that they were forced for years to do something they didn't want to do, and were either threatened to be killed or burned alive. Mm-hmm. And they give into it. Mm-hmm. And when they do give into it, and they don't have education, they don't have any other way of earning, mm-hmm. after, let's say, 15 years of being in the brothels, the brothel owner says, all right, you're free. The stigma, no education, no financial help, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it a lot of people ask us, like, hey, they've been there 15 years. They're now free to go. You go and share your story. You share what you guys do. They could just easily come out. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
It's not. You've done that for 15 years, and you tell them, we're here to give you new life. Come with us. It's a process. Mm-hmm. Like, most of them, even, it's hard for them to understand that somebody is willing to do that for them. And so I think also there's some questions that come to us is like, why do they go back?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know that, you guys know that in the brothels, it's darkness, and they've been living in bondage. They've been living in darkness for years. And now they see a ray of light, and they see freedom. A similar bondage is better for them than living in freedom sometimes. And so freedom is hard. Yes. And so they choose, it's too hard. Let me take a step back, go back to my life that was similar, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, working in the West so much now as well. We talk a lot about how the view of prostitution in the West is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have a firm personal belief that all prostitution is forced prostitution.
Yeah.
And I have so many people that I love in the West who disagree with me on that because of the way that they see sex work in the West.
Yeah.
Literally having a conversation a few days ago with a friend about it.
Yeah.
And just kind of having to navigate that, like, compassion for women in these spaces.
Yeah.
It's so weird to have to navigate that in the West, I think, because I don't know, maybe it's only weird just because it's so personal, right?
Yeah.
It's not this far removed person. It's wait, I know somebody.
Yeah.
I know what this was actually like.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. I think it's personal. I definitely think, because I find myself all the time trying to advocate for that, saying that no, like, you cannot, definitely not judge that person, because sometimes when we're traveling and we're in hotels, and like, I could tell, when a guy walks in with a girl, I could tell that why she's there, and I'm constantly having eye contact with her, like, hey, do you need help?
Anything?
Right?
Yeah.
And most of the time she's like, oh, weird, but I'm like, no, I see you. But yeah, so we're laughing about it again. But yeah, it's most of the time, like, I'm like, oh, what room is she in? Like, I want to go talk to her. How cute. You don't have to do this. And most of the time, it's probably she had a rough childhood. So there was abuse, sexual abuse in her childhood, and that's all she knew. And maybe dropped out of school or whatever. Yes, it is not her choice.
Yeah,
definitely not her choice. And it's sad.
Yeah. One of the regions of the world that we work in, prostitution is legal.
Yeah.
And one of the things, a lot of the women that we work with who are still working, so they're still prostituting, one of the things they say a lot is, like, their dynamic with other women who aren't prostitutes, that they just feel so, like, judged and shamed or ignored. And sometimes I really do even think that power of, like, looking at someone with kindness in your eye of like, no, I actually do see you.
Yeah.
Like, I see you and I value you.
Yeah.
Can carry so much more weight than we even realize for them.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, like, what if one of your own family members, for the people who judge, okay, like, what if your own family members was kidnapped, raped, and put in a brothel somewhere for, let's say, 3 days. Okay, found her. Are you going to stamp her? Are you going to label her? Like, and most of the women that are in this space, like, who, let's say, who are legal in the region and they're doing this, something happened to where they're there at this point. Yeah. It's not because they said, this is a fun job, let me choose this, but you stamp her and say, okay, that's her life. And a lot of the girls, I love that, your dad and my dad, what they do, I love, is like, they never see, okay, let's just get you a job somewhere and that's it. Earn money, have a good life, great. what I love about your dad and my dad is that they're always seeing them as like these princesses, right? So it's always like, be a doctor, a lawyer. And so
don't pick the hardest job. You haven't been educated and you're 14. We'll catch you up. Go get a master's degree. They will.
We watched you do it.
Go get 4 master's degrees.
Absolutely. And so sometimes I see the girls look at me like, you know, are they talking to us? Like, what is going on? In a way, it surprises them. Like, oh, that's the expectation. Wow, no one really expected that from us before, you know? But here are these people, here are these men, these dads, these father figures that are telling us, I trust you, or I believe in you to be this person. And so that really changes their lives, where, you know, yes, they trust God. Yes, they trust that transformational power in them. But there's this fatherly figures that are actually telling them, we know you can be a doctor. And so today there's like girls that are on their way to be doctors and lawyers and architects and I don't know what. It's like, wow. The other day my dad was telling me that he was walking out of this court after fighting like this big thing in court, and he's walking out all tired, and there's this girl that said, hi, you know, uncle, I'm here. And then she was like wearing her lawyer suit or whatever, and he's like, oh, I forgot you're a lawyer.
I love it.
So he called me and he's like, guess who I met today? And I was like, or saw today. And I was like, who? And she's like, remember, she's a lawyer. And I was like, oh, so cool. So
that's awesome.
It's really awesome to see like what their life would have ended up like if we did not say yes to what God was calling us to do, versus God used a small yes to make someone else's life do something that they never imagined they could.
I love it. Okay, so you've been in this space professionally for quite some time. Beyond growing up in it. Professionally, you've chosen it for quite some time.
Yeah.
If you could go back to fresh out of college Dawn, saying like, yeah, let me at it. I can handle this. What would you say to her?
I would say it's not me, and to take one step at a time, one day at a time, and not look at the big picture. Look at each day, each girl, and where they're at today. A lot of the times, I remember when I was younger, that I would look at somebody who is not willing to follow the program, or to, you know, or is open to be disciplined. And I would think to myself, you know, never mind. Let's focus on someone else. But today I see that person thrive and possibly, you know, preaching somewhere today. Yeah. And so
it's always the difficult ones.
Yeah.
Says probably every parent in the world. It's always the difficult ones that change the world.
So I would go back to tell young Dawn, like, hey, it's not me, it's God. He's going to take care of it. And to do one step at a time. So
I love that. I think even thinking about stamina with that perspective too, of like, yeah, 50 million slaves in the world. My gosh.
Yeah.
But long-term success, stamina, and health in your own life and in the program and the lives of the young ladies around you really does kind of actually hinge on today. Yeah. One girl, one step. Yeah. Not trying to like bite off this entire thing, but going like, okay, great. What am I supposed to do today? Yeah. And just stepping into that. Yeah. And we're so thankful that you step into that and that you always, we've invited you into some strange spaces, but to be fair, you've invited us into some strange spaces. She's taken me some strange spaces. So, you know, we're all doing it together.
Yes. I am so glad we're doing it together.
Same. We love it. Well, we honestly could talk for so long, but you have an entire life to get to. So we're going to let you go, but thank you so much for coming and talking and giving people a tiny peek into your world.
Absolutely.
We're all lucky to get to see that. We all leave more equipped in this fight when we get around you. So
Thanks for
Thank
saying
you
yes.
so much. Yes, absolutely.
Your yes is powerful, and we're thankful for it.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here, and it's always fun and almost like therapy talking to you guys. So
I love it. Well, ditto.